She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gets macho.
Important to take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the TOFFEEs. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Shite.
Ooh, welcome in to Footy with the boys. We have a big episode today. We're running through the Premier League where things are unprecedented. Manchester City hate watches are paying off. We'll talk all about that. Liverpool seem like they are just a bulldozer this season, and Arsenal are getting back to their winning ways. Can they potentially make their way back into that title race? We'll go through the Premier League rundown, make sure you know what's going on for the rest of the table. Get our lock of the week, of course. We are no betting experts, but you take that to the bank and you win that about 1 out of 15 tries. So pretty good odds if you ask me. And then, of course, we end with, it's worse odds than roulette, but, you know, we try. Then we have the U.S. men's national team corner, as always, boys. And there's quite a lot of headlines there. But let's start with the big news. The big news of the weekend here is, of course, starting Liverpool 2, City 0. Mike, we talked about how the panic buttons were already being rang for Manchester City. They now lose to Liverpool. Is this time of death for City? I mean, is it this weekend? This game is title race gone for them?
Doctor, we have no pulse. They are dead. They have been dead. They got walloped this game. 2-0 is a blessing because it was so much worse if you watch the game. I mean, Virgil put one off the crossbar, had another header that forced a good save. Gakpo could have scored again. Diaz could have scored. I mean, the chances were there. City showed very little. I don't even know if they had any clear-cut chances. The expected goals show they didn't do anything. The shots show they didn't do anything. The play shows they didn't do anything. This was all Liverpool. This is all Mo Salah. Mo Salah owned them this game. Still the best player in the Prem. He's the king. They are definitely dead. And there's, so many players within the squad who are done, it looks like. Kyle Walker, washed. That man's got to hang up sooner and later. Go back to Tottenham, do something. He can't play in this team anymore.
Come to Everton.
Back line looks trash.
We take
Ruben
old
Diaz back this game. Doesn't look like Ruben Diaz of 2 years ago. And the biggest thing, Kevin De Bruyne is not starting. He's healthy on the bench and not really featuring with any significant minutes like the last 4 or 5 games. I don't know what the hell's going on there. If they're easing him back, but no Rodri. And then you're going to put potentially your best player on the bench. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Legs.
Whole lot happens here. Nick.
None of those other dudes have legs either.
Yeah, but his legs are a little gone. And without Rodri covering, also when Foden is just, best player in the Prem, you gotta play him, right? Right? No? Oh, what? I have the same amount of goals as Foden this year? What? That's crazy.
Poor man's Cole Palmer.
Foden's drop-off is a big reason why they're not really in this race anymore. Time of death this weekend. Man City done. Nick, another thing happens though is Liverpool wins this game. They're kind of passing all the tests. They beat Real Madrid and Man City back to back. I know one's in the Champions League, obviously not at all going to affect Premier League, but they have to be officially the title favorite now. It would 9 points over Arsenal. It would have to be a choke job if they don't get it done at this point, yeah?
Absolutely. They have at this point, they have a hand on it. I think there's a lot left to be said, obviously, for this season, but it will be a choke just like it was for Arsenal when they were 8 points ahead. Christmas, I've never denied that. So keeping the same energy here as well. They should be the favorites. And to be fair, they've looked like the best team all year. Some of that is circumstantial with Arsenal, but they just manhandled the reigning champions, and that is when you get to call yourself a title favorite. So I think it's looking real good if you're red. It is amazing to see Trent back at like full confidence, full form, that wand of a right foot. I mean, Premier League legends in Salah and Van Dijk. Like they're gonna go down with the same names as Rooney and TD and all these guys. So they are up there in the upper echelons of the Premier League. Allison, I think you could probably argue is up there too as far as keepers. Trent is probably already there, and if not, he's going to get there if he stays. So, I mean, it's a special team. They're more organized with Arne Slot, and it's paying off for them. So, credit to them; they've looked amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly capitalizing on the issues that have come with the injuries for Manchester City, especially, but also Arsenal as well, to get whatever lead they could while Odegaard was out. Another team in the, I don't know if I want to say title race, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but certainly putting their name in the hat for one of these top four positions. Chelsea crush Aston Villa 3-0. Mike, I mean, what does this say about Chelsea? And what does it say about Aston Villa? I know we said a little bit in our group chat while it was going on, but I mean, what does it tell you more about Chelsea being a title contender or Aston Villa just being a shell of what they were last year?
Aston Villa are winless in their last 8 games.
Horrible.
Oh my God, they're Man City. They're Man City.
That's a fall off. With how good this team started the year, top of the Champions League league stage, whatever you want to call that now, really high up. We calling them potential title contenders in Premier League, and then this massive fall off. They really stopped scoring goals. They got demolished by Chelsea. This was supposed to be a good matchup. Chelsea walloped them. It wasn't even close. Nicholas Jackson scores right away. A lot of clear chances. And then shout out Cole Palmer. That third goal was a beauty if you have not seen it. Real class. This is a huge dent in Aston Villa's chances to do anything. If you look at the Premier League table, they're way down in the middle of the pack now. It's going to be a hard road to climb back up.
I mean, I think if you're an Aston Villa fan, the hope is that everybody else is also going through some trials and tribulations. So that middle of the table is relatively close. So if you have a long run of form, you can make your way back up it. But at this point, you're having a long run of form that's putting you in the opposite direction. I don't think you can say it's going to go the opposite way. And if you're Chelsea, I mean, they continually perform here, Nick. They're even on points with Arsenal, and they're top 3, put themselves above City, above Brighton. I mean, how serious do you take Chelsea this year?
I think it was Tim Howard who said it after the Arsenal-Chelsea game, that he watched that game and said both of these teams are title contenders. And that kind of took me a little bit by surprise. Obviously, it was a hampered Arsenal side, but he thought Chelsea looked good. I don't really think so. I'm sure we'll talk more about that later. I think they're beating up on the teams that they should be, which apparently now includes Aston Villa. We'll talk about them later too. But I still think they're missing stuff in the most key moments in the biggest stages, and are a little too over reliant on a guy like Cole Palmer to create everything for them. So, they're a very good side, and they should be very strongly favored to finish top 4. I mean, the odds have to be not good at all or very, very good, I should say, for them to finish top 4. Title contenders, I'm not sure. I think we can get into that later.
Yeah, it's at least up in the air, and I think if you were to have asked at the start of the season if that was going to be something we say, it would have been a big doubt. But speaking of titles, here in the US of A, we have the MLS Cup this Saturday. It will be an unlikely New York Red Bull team getting to their second ever final. Their first one, I believe, was when they were the New York Metro Stars. So been a while for them. Big markets here, though. New York and LA. LA Galaxy, though, Mike, Ricky Puig tears his ACL, continues playing, gets the game-winning assist in the semifinal versus the Sounders, but he's going to be unavailable for this final. Also, Marco Royce goes out after 45 minutes for LA Galaxy. I mean, you already have Messi out. You already have LAFC. You have a lot of the big names out of this. What's the draw for this game for you? Because, I mean, New York Red Bulls haven't really had any star signings and are a bit of an underdog team. And LA Galaxy, the stars are kind of getting hurt here.
I think the draw is that it's two teams that no one expected to make it. No LAFC, no Inter Miami. The two teams that people thought were going to go far have all the star talent. LA Galaxy definitely has some. Ricky Puig is great, balling all year. But the fact that it's more of an underdog story is definitely a draw. And there's still plenty of class. I mean, Gabriel Peck on LA Galaxy, he's super good. Blanking on the name, but the left winger as well.
From the Belgian league. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of talent still in both these
sides. Or something like that?
Yeah. Pate Still. Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's nasty, yeah.
I mean, the entire front four Galaxy.
Also, yeah.
Jovic, I mean, they scored all double-digit goals this year. There's plenty to watch, and it's a final, so that's enough reason right there.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that this one could get ugly if LA Galaxy have Marco Royce potentially available, and
he's playing like a deeper line midfield role. It's pretty interesting seeing him.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, he's so good. Just class. Yeah. I mean, also just with the wingers they have with Painstill and Peck on both sides. I mean, Peck is not long for this league. He's going to come and he is going to be out, and for probably a very large sum of money. He is a rising star there. So something to watch here on Saturday there. Nick, let's go from the US back on over to our friends in the Premier League with the Gunners, who took on West Ham in an all London bout here. They win 5-2. Nick, 5 goals scored is absurd in the Premier League.
In the first half, all those goals in the first half.
One of a few very high-scoring games in the Premier League this week, but a lot of goals here for Arsenal. Who impressed you the most? Because, I mean, 5 goals, a lot of people are going to impress, but who stood out to you amongst the big performance here?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, not many people laid a foot wrong in this game. Obviously, it was a great result for us. 2 really quick shout outs, or 1 quick shout out, and then 1 I want to dive into. The first one is Jorginho. I mean, what a luxury to have that guy as your third choice 6, and for him to come in these past 2 weeks. We've gotten back on track, it seems like, with our play. We've been dominant once again and getting the results once again. But him to come in and just control games, he's so, I mean, we know he can't. Both of us I can outrun him with 1 leg, right? He doesn't move well, but he reads the game so freaking well and is always in the right spot defensively, knows when to take a smart foul, and just controls a game with possession. I mean, not even to mention all the stuff he does off the pitch for the younger kids. So what a luxury to have that guy. And I am very confident, comfortable every time I see his name on the starting sheet, which I don't know if you had told me that when we first bought him. I don't know if I would have said that. So a guy who has far exceeded expectations, in my opinion. I think we paid like $12 million for him 2 years ago now. And another guy is the guy that everyone should be talking about, and it's Bukayo Saka, because that man has 10 assists come, December 2nd? We still have a month left of December. All the fixtures that come in December, which we know with the really heavy schedule that's coming up, we have midweek games, we have the Boxing Day games, all that stuff. He already is halfway to the Premier League record. And I hear people calling him corner merchants. 2 things. 1, okay, it is not easy to deliver a corner on the spot every single time. And 2, he only has 3 assists from corners. So it's not like he's just like racking up the numbers there, although it definitely helps. And I mean, I said at the beginning of the season, this is a season where we look back at the end and officially call him world class, and we are not even halfway through. And I am here to tell you, Bukayo Saka is a world class player. He is the best player in the Premier League, not named Mohamed Salah. I'd take him over Haaland. And he just does so much at the highest level. He makes things look easy. And he still has the wow moments. He has the strength. He has the leadership. He has a little bit of a nasty to him now. I mean, he just feels like he's going to go down as the greatest Arsenal player of all time. That is what it feels like I'm watching every single time I watch him. I love the way he loves the team. The fan base obviously loves him. It feels like he's going to be here forever. And if he's here from like 17 to like 35, there's no way that he isn't the greatest Arsenal player of all time, with health permitting, obviously. So I am just, this man deserves all the flowers in the world. He is our best player. I think you can make an argument after these couple weeks that Odegaard might be the most important, but he is the best, and it is an absolute genuine pleasure to have him on our side.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy that Foden won PFA Player of the Year, and
Ridiculous.
I wouldn't put him in the same conversation as Saka, at
No.
all, or even Cole Palmer,
near.
really, at this point. It's kind of tough
No.
there. But you do have Odegaard back, and I think he is a key cog in it, because I think it is in an era where you can't just have one big star like Saka to carry everything. But, I mean, Odegaard was out. And Liverpool can certainly have injuries, and they can certainly have their own dips in form. But Arsenal are 9 points behind. Obviously, it's still, relatively early here in the season, but can Arsenal still win the league here? 9 points back of what looks like a just red-hot Liverpool side?
Yeah, absolutely. We can still win the league. And I know because to end last year, we went 24 games losing one game. If we go the next 24 losing one game, I think we have just as good a chance as Liverpool at winning it, because that is impossible to do, and we proved that we can do it. Again, the context matters. It got dark for a moment there, but 3 of our first 8 games, we played with 10 guys. That is insane. Odegaard missed a lot of time. Calafiori and Timber both missed a lot of time. We've had Saliba missing some key games. And so it sucks that we're in this hole, but context does matter. And now that we're getting back to full strength and back in the groove of things, and our captain, like you said, leading us once again, we're looking. I mean, I know Liverpool looked lazy. I think we've looked just as good, if not better, this past week as them. So looking forward to the next tilt with them, and that game is really going to decide a lot. But this title race is not done. It might have been run for City, but we're still in it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly big results are needed for Arsenal, and some help, obviously, to get Liverpool back in striking distance for Arsenal. But one of those big games here for Arsenal come up this weekend. It's against Manchester United, which I know it's Manchester United. They have certainly not been the greatest this season. But Nick, this is a potentially hard game here. It's obviously Big Six. It's always going to be somewhat hard. But Ruben Amorim is in. He's only been in for 2.5 weeks now, so still relatively new. Does Manchester United have that new manager balance? I don't think they've looked particularly impressive so far, other than what we'll get into, what happened this weekend. But I mean, Europa League, they haven't looked great. I mean, is this the time where maybe it comes together for Manchester United? Is that anything that scares you at all?
Yeah, it's always, I'm expecting a tough matchup, but I'm confident that we can get the win. It is never easy against Man U. It is, one of the oldest rivalries in English football, and is an absolute, you're at the edge of the seat every time these two teams play, no matter what. I know the Butcher Martinez will not be playing this Wednesday due to suspension. I think someone else as well. They haven't looked good, like you've said, but they do have confidence after a big win over the weekend. So it'll be a big one. Afraid's the wrong word, but I do think I have healthy confidence going into this game. You have to be wary always, though. Especially, I know he hasn't looked great. I don't know, for like 2.5 years now, but I'm still a believer in Rashford and that he can take a game at any moment. So it's always a little nerve-wracking. I'm expecting a win.
Yeah, I mean, I think wins have to be expected here for Arsenal all the way out, for that chance, like you said, to make up that gap. Mike, we mentioned Manchester United and their weekend. Unfortunately, it is a perfect segue into what we talk about next every episode, and that is Toffee Talk. We're talking about Everton Football Club here, the Blues, and the Blues are exactly what we are feeling right now, because holy shit. It was depressing before as a club. It's been depressing really all season, except for like a 3-game stretch. Did not get any less depressing here, Mike. 4-0 to Manchester United. I know you weren't on the last pod. We talked so much about how tough this upcoming schedule is, how much the missed opportunity for points in previous games against 10-man teams while being up 2-0 against the worst team in the league, and we don't take them. A chance here against a team with a brand new manager coming in and all the discourse that's been around United, and it looked like that did not help us at all. 4-0. What needs to change in terms of the lineup, in terms of who needs to sit on the bench, and who needs to be in control of the bench? Do you have faith still in Sean Dyche?
4-0. Same number, 4, as games where we have not scored. We have not scored in 4 games. We haven't looked like scoring in 4 games, really. Beto started this week. Wow. That is changing up the line. Take out one shit striker, put in another. Call it gold. I don't know really what needs to change. We got a few guys who are coming back. Broha and Trimidi both played with the U23s this past week against Nottingham Forest. So that's promising. Some more attacking talent, I guess. There's not a whole lot within the squad that's going to really change the starting 11 on any given week. When Tim Bunham's back, possibly James Garner comes back from injury, I think he will start. So a few changes here and there, but fuck, dude, the mentality, the pace, how lax we looked. I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot this game. We looked okay in the first 15 minutes. We had higher possession than Man U. We didn't really create a whole lot, but we had some of the ball, and we prevented them from looking threatening. And then we give up a bullshit corner. It's Tarkowski. It's a 2v1 against Rashford. Him and Young are both there. They give up a corner. Man U scores off of it. Then we get caught on the ball twice. Brathwaite got caught on the ball once. Tarkowski got caught on the ball a second time. Let Diallo run one-on-one with Pickford, with guys trailing, easy tap-in goals. I mean, we pride ourselves on being solid, having a strong back line, being hard to break down. We gave away goals this game. The midfield's horrible. You can't have Decore and Ganagay start next to each other. They're not fast. They don't run all that well, and they cannot progress the ball. That's a horrible combination of traits. You need them to do something. So Mangala comes into the game way too late to make an impact. Yeah, he's great on the ball. The game's lost at that point. Dice doesn't recognize shit. Man U's playing this funky formation where they have a box midfield and Xerxes going wherever the hell they want or he wants. There's no structure and there's a hole in the midfield. Put a guy in there to operate? No. Have Dwight McNeil shift out wide, go for an overload, leave the middle of the field entirely empty so we can't break them apart. I mean, I'm really out on Dyche. He got me back in for a minute. I was out on him early this year. I mean, this is fucking bullshit. We look horrible. We look like a team that should get relegated. We look even worse than last year. We progressively get worse and worse throughout the years. This is the 4th bad season in a row. Could be 5 or 6, depending on the criteria. This is our last season in Goodison Park. This should be a season where we go out on a high, go into a new ownership group, go into a new stadium with something to cheer for. Wow. Remember that last season at Goodison when we got those wins, when we gritted it out, when we had inspiring performances? We have none of that right now. There's nothing to fucking cheer for. There's no players to cheer for. Shout out Iliman and Ndiaye for being a loving supporter of the fans, for sticking around, signing autographs after the game. That's the one thing we can hang our hats on right now is we have a quality dude who's a nice fella. But there's no good performances out there. It's just bitter. I don't even look forward to watching games anymore. We have Wolves in the midweek at home. I'm not feeling good about that. And then 3 days later, it's a derby, and it's Liverpool. And damn, they're good.
Where is he?
Really, really bad.
For what it's worth, I think I'm officially. I think Mike's right. I think Dyke has to go. At this point, it has to be on that. I know, but I think I've played devil's advocate with you guys of like, who else can you really get? He's proven he could survive before, and maybe that's still true, but he's still playing these same washed up bums week in and week out, and there's options, like Mike said, like maybe not the greatest options, but try something new. 4 weeks without a goal is inexcusable. 4-0 versus Man U is inexcusable. So I think I've officially turned to Sean Dyche. Time to go, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I
is
think
time to go.
even during that good patch, there were a lot of things that were concerning. And like Mike said, he does not make the changes that need to happen. It is like he is. I don't know. He with Burnley, he had such a solid defensive team. With Everton, it's not at all solid defensively. It looks really shaky. And if you're going to be a defensive coach that doesn't know how to attack, doesn't have the attacking players either, you can't have that. And he's not making any of the changes, potentially change how they're performing. And the ones he does, it's like, I mean, they're the wrong ones. Mike, with that being said, I want to say something. I want to see how you feel about this. I think if Everton lose this game against Wolves, I think it's a must win. I think if they lose that game, they're going to be relegated. Those 3 points, I mean, we've already talked about how they've lost basically 11 points that are from advantageous positions this season alone. Absurd amount of points to be losing from those advantageous positions. If they don't win this against Wolves, with the next games being up against Liverpool, being up against Arsenal, then Man City, and then you're going to like a Chelsea, Nottingham Forest. None of these games in the next like 5 to 8 games are going to be easy. We are going to find ourselves. We are 2 points out of the relegation zone. If we don't get 3 points here, we are going to be solidly stuck in that relegation bottom 3 by the time we see the light of day of any type of easy opponent, because we have such a hard run of games here. Is this game against Wolves a must win? And are we more likely to be relegated than stay up at this point?
It's a must fucking score a goal at the very least. I mean, put one in the back of the net and then we'll go from there. That's the bare minimum at this point. Yeah, dude, it's a must win. It's at home. We don't get many matchups where we can really even compete at this point. I still have faith that Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton will all go down. I'm still counting on that. Leicester look really fucking shit too. Their defense is even worse than ours. Wout Weiss is a absolute fraud. But that being said,
new coach for them. They made the change. We didn't.
Yeah, new coach, same shit. We need a new coach and some different shit. Wolves has to be a win, must result at the very least. They have more going for them at the moment than we do because at least they score goals and they've got a result more recently than us. It's really scary if not. I think even against Liverpool, even them being so much better than us, we will show an inspiring performance because it is a derby. We always get up for a derby. That doesn't mean I expect a win, but I didn't expect it last year either, and we pulled that off. So anything is possible, but it is do or die in these next 2 matches.
Wolves scores hella goals, bro. Look at their differential.
Yeah. I mean, they score
nuts.
goals.
12 more goals than us.
They also ship a shit ton of them in, so hopefully we can score one.
Wolves look good.
Nick loves to say Wolves look good.
Yeah,
They
he
definitely
loves.
Better than us.
Eye test doesn't lie. They look good.
I think Crystal Palace and Wolves are going to be quickly climbing, and I think Mike is right. It's down to us or Leicester, and fuck, I don't think either team is going to be feeling good at any point of the rest of the season here. Let's move, though, to who Everton will be playing in the weekend. For the midweek game, Newcastle versus Liverpool. I mean, away at St. James. Nick, we're talking about ways in for Arsenal in this title race. Is Liverpool being away at St. James after, talking about them having an easy schedule, and that's why they're out in front? They beat Real Madrid. They beat Man City. If they beat Newcastle away, I mean, is that put to bed? Is that narrative just dead right then and there? Or is it already dead with Man City?
Yeah, I think it might already be dead, to be fair. I think you have a good shout there. But I mean, we know, this is oil versus good old fashioned history football, and past 5 years should tell you how that shit has gone. So we know what happened in St. James. We know what the people in the VAR rooms, what the refs on the field, what tends to happen, what that crowd tends to do to a referee's head. So it will be interesting. I think Liverpool haven't been tested real physically just yet. I would argue even in that Arsenal game, Arsenal weren't like really. Arsenal I thought played well. They were in control, but I don't know if they were like battling a lot. So Newcastle, who have some big results throughout the season, I think maybe can pull one out here. But like you said, I think that narrative of Liverpool kind of having an easier go as of late, I think it's already dead. And because of that, I kind of expect them to come out with 3 points from St. James. There's been nothing from how they have played that would make me expect otherwise.
Yeah, and Mike, like Nick said, big results for Newcastle this season. They've beaten Arsenal, Tottenham, tied City. If they do get a result here, how much does it say about Newcastle, but also for Liverpool? I mean, how much do you have to worry that they're just going to run away with this shit if they're beating City, beating Newcastle at St. James, beating Real Madrid or in the Champions League? I mean, fuck, they could just run away with it. They just could be unbeatable.
They could be. They're going to slip up at some point for sure. I don't think it's this match. Nick's right. They will be tested physically. I just think they're ready for it. This trident attack is much too scary for Newcastle's defense currently. And they still have some big injuries. I think Isak will miss this one. He went out with an injury on the weekend. They don't have a replacement for him at the moment. Callum Wilson's not the same guy anymore. And that's the only other striker option. I'm thinking Liverpool definitely takes this.
All right. I mean, I think Liverpool not ever
Anthony Gordon
at this point.
Merseyside boy, little something for the Blues. Huh?
Shit, dude. I hate the guy, but if he scores one against Liverpool, I'll smile.
Do we take him off rat status if he scores a winner versus Liverpool?
No, he's still
a little
a
less
rat.
ratty, more mousy.
He could be a little ratatouille,
mouse.
a lovable rat. Boys, we have a new segment, new seg alert. Just doing some segs with the boys. We have contender or pretender. I'm going to tell you some different categories for different teams, being title winners, top 6, and safety from relegation. I want you to tell me contender or pretender if there's a draw. If you guys are disagreeing, I will be the tie break. Let's start with boys' title winners. Liverpool, contender or pretender? I think we both know the answer to this.
Pretending bitches. Who have they played?
Big contenders.
Big contenders.
I mean, favorites by, I would say, a country mile here. Boys, I think this one might be a little more interesting. Manchester City, contender or pretender for a title winners?
They're still contenders.
I think they're pretenders. I think they're frauds. I think they're on fraud watch. Pretenders. Listen, you said it yourself. De Bruyne hasn't looked the same. He's supposed to be the unstoppable one on the team. Haaland can beat up on small teams, but he needs service against the biggest teams, and he'll still be amazing. But, Rodri is their best player, and he is out. Diaz hasn't looked good for 2 years. Pep is clawing his forehead. I don't know.
What happened there?
He's a weird dude.
I think this is it.
I don't know.
He's a weirdo, dude. I don't know.
Glossed over that far too much that he said, I want to harm myself, and had cuts all over his head from himself. And people were just like, oh, classic Pep. He lost the 6th game. That's so crazy. It's like, what?
Is this man
looks like he got attacked
for
by
the
a cat.
forehead scratches alone. For the forehead scratches alone, I'm going pretender. Up to you, Flags.
Yeah, I am saying pretender. I just think in this era of the Premier League, 11 points.
Us.
I think
you've absolutely jinxed us. They're gonna win it now, and it's your fault.
That may be true. Next up, Arsenal, the Gunners, contender or pretender?
Contender, easy. Still the best looking team when we're at full strength, in my opinion.
That's definitely not true. Liverpool look absolutely amazing, but
no, we've looked better at full strength.
All right, contender it is for Arsenal.
Liverpool.
Another spicy one here, boys. Chelsea Football Club. The Blues. Are they a contender or are they still a pretender?
Pretender.
When it comes to the title race, you have to say pretender. I mean, they're
Pretender.
improved. They're far and away the fourth best team in the league, in my opinion. It's still too early to call them title contenders. I'm going pretender on this one too.
There's still some frauds in that squad.
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez cost $120 million. No one talks about that enough.
Enzo's been
Nobody talks about
Enzo's been absolutely. Dude, he's been putting up assists and goals in like 8
He
straight
looks
games. Bro.
awful every time he plays, bro. No.
Okay.
Hell no.
Robert Sanchez.
Pretender
Definitely pretender.
for Chelsea. But certainly a great season for them and could shift that narrative. They keep winning. And certainly for seasons to come, they have a young squad. So watch out. Let's move to top 6. Contender or pretender here, boys. Manchester United. Ruben Amorim comes in. Is there enough there? Top 6? It's a weird mid-table.
Contender.
Oh, care to explain?
I really don't like Manchester United. I don't like any of their players, really, but there's a lot of talent in there. And there's some depth. And I do believe in Amorim. I think he is a good manager. And will get the most out of this squad. And I also think that they'll probably spend more money in January.
Potentially.
Nick?
I'm going pretender. I think this might have, maybe 1 or 2 good results in the first couple months that makes you think, oh, they're going to make a late season push. And then it's just a late season push that never comes. So if they do it, it will be because they have a really strong closing 2 months. But I've seen this road enough post Fergie that I am refusing to believe in them. I'm going pretender as well. After I put them in my top 4 at the start of the year. So
I, as the tiebreak, am saying contender. And I tell you why, is they have had a very bad start to the season, as we've talked about many times on this pod.
And so they're contenders.
And they sit only in 9th place, only 3 points out of 6th. I think the contender is only really for that 6th position. But somebody has to get it. It's super congested. And Ruben Amorim, I got faith that he can maybe do better. It'd be hard to do worse. So can he beat out a Brentford and Tottenham that's above them and a Nottingham Forest? I think that's in contention. But speaking of one of those teams that is above them, Tottenham Hotspur, contender or pretender for top 6?
Certified contender.
Yeah, bona fide contender and arguable favorite, I would say.
Yeah, I would say they should certainly be a favorite. I would also say contender.
More so than Man United.
Yeah. Let's go Brighton, and I'm going to change it up a little bit from top 6 contender, top 4 contender or pretender?
Oh, I don't even think they're top 6.
You don't think they're a top 6 contender?
No, I don't think they're 4th, first of all. And it's Fabian Hertzler coming in. We've seen early magic like this come and go. I'm thinking of Oliver Glasner. I'm thinking of even De Zerbi, who didn't have a great year last year. I am refusing to believe that this new manager is now all of a sudden going to get a Brighton into the Champions League, and I don't even think a top 6, honestly. So I think they'll be in it till the end, but I'm putting them down as a pretender.
Mike,
not enough talent.
Top 6. Do they have different answers? Do they have the same?
They have a lot of talent. They're a fun team. I like watching them a lot. They are not a top 4 contender, and they are not a top 6 contender.
Not a top 6 contender. That's crazy.
No,
I mean,
there's a gap there. And I won't be surprised if some of these guys go in January. Dude,
I like this next team better.
Squad. You don't think that they can contend for the top 6 as they're currently in 4th, a third of the way through the season? Contend for 6th.
Correct.
Interesting. Let us know in the comments. What do you think of that one? I think that might be a hot take. And Nick, you kind of just teased a hot take here. Fulham, contender or pretender, top 6?
I like him better than Brighton. I'm still going Pretender.
Wow. Okay, well,
they're too over reliant on ESR, in my opinion. Very happy for ESR and an absolute wonderful story. You know my love for him. For an absolutely objective point of view, the man has had injury concerns in the past. Can he be the main guy for the entire rest of the way? I don't know. Raul Jimenez had some good form early in the year, and Iwobi, but are those the guys who are leading you to Europe? Not enough there, in my opinion. I'm going Pretender.
Mike, you agree?
If Reece Nelson keeps doing back traps like Ronaldinho, they might have a chance.
He is nasty. He is nasty.
No, I don't even know why we're asking this one. They're an absolute Pretender.
Damn.
They don't have any of the talent. That backline's poo-poo. And they're not.
Whoa, Jedi Robinson, the captain. What are you talking about? Boys,
Listen, to be fair, I did make this list, so
these next two ones are back-to-back in the table, and I think certainly have the expectation of this. But are they, at this point in the season, still contenders or pretenders? We start with Newcastle. Contender or pretender for top 6?
I'm going Pretender. They've had some big results, but also some really confusing results. I think they're way over reliant on Harvey Barnes has looked good, to be fair, but I think it's an Isak team and whoever else happens to show up. No one else is consistent. And even Isak isn't the most consistent. The defense, which was vaunted the year they got top 4, shaky. Fabian Schär is not the same player. Botman's hurt all the time. I don't know. Something about them, ever since they bought Tonali, it felt like a big swing and a miss. I'm going Pretender on this one.
Guess you could say that bet didn't pay off. Mike, contender or pretender?
Pretender for a lot of the reasons Nick says. I think they caught magic in a bottle that one season where they got Champions League, and then a lot of these dudes went back to their baseline. Only a few special players in the squad and a lot of mid-caliber guys who are not going to get them up the table.
Yeah, I think they jumped on the early investment and good performances, and now that everybody in the Premier League has crazy amounts of money to invest, including this team, it gets a little bit harder. Aston Villa, contender or pretender? We've talked about how much they've slid, but we also know the potential they have because they just showed it last year. Top 6, contenders or pretenders? Aston Villa.
Contender. I think I had them in my preseason top 4 even maybe, which might be a bit high now looking at it. But I expect them to have a surge at some point this season after this bad form. There's a lot of talent in the squad. Yeah, top 6 for sure.
All right, Nick?
Yeah, I think I agree. Contender and arguable favorite. If you had to tell me right now, I'd put Tottenham and Villa in my top 6 and the top 4 in some order of City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. So I think they're a legit contender. I think they are more of a contender for top 4 than Tottenham are, in my opinion. So if they catch some sort of fire in the bottle, Ollie Watkins, we know, is a proven goal scorer. He can get hot. I really love this Morgan Rogers kid. Rumors of Douglas Luiz being loaned back from Juve. So
yeah. McKinney told him to grab a seat on the bench.
Yeah, seriously. So I'm a big believer in Villa still. It's been a rough go as of late, and as of late, I mean past 2 months, but I still see the talent in the squad. Unai is still a respectable manager. I think they get it done.
Yeah, I mean, certainly an interesting one to put Aston Villa there and not the current 4th place team, Brighton. But we move on to the last part of this new seg.
All right, hold on. You're saying right now, who do you think is more likely to finish 4th this year, Brighton or Villa?
Brighton. They've been significantly better team this season.
That's just a horseshit prediction. You're a prisoner of the moment.
I think it is crazy to say that Aston Villa are a contender for top 6 and Brighton cannot contend for top 6. That they cannot contend as they're currently in 4th and have looked great this season.
Look, maybe they are contenders. I'm just saying they're pretenders for where they are now. How about that? Either way, I still think Villa's far more likely to finish top 4 than Brighton are. Like a lot more likely.
How disrespectful is it that we talked about Fulham and not Nottingham Forest that are currently in the top 6?
Nah.
Come on, bro.
Nottingham suck.
They're a pretender as well. But I'm just saying.
All right, fine. You want to add Nottingham? Pretender.
Pretender.
All right, cool. Nice.
All right, glad we covered that. Last segment here of Contender Pretender. We're going to say up or down. I just want a simple up or down, then we'll get some analysis towards the later ones here. Safety from relegation, starting with Southampton. Up or down?
Down.
Down.
All the way down.
All right. That's what I thought. Ipswich Town, Mr. Ed Sheeran.
Down.
Down.
We're staying up.
Okay, we knew them.
Give me the shivers.
Let's get into some more interesting ones here. Wolves, up or down?
Up.
Up. Wolves are up. Crystal Palace, up or down?
Up.
Oh, God. And then we get to the final two. We need to have an answer on Leicester City, up or down, boys?
Down, man. Out of here.
I'll say down for the only reason that I think if Everton doesn't make it, I don't think it's Leicester that survives. I think it's Ipswich Town.
Interesting take there. Everton then.
Leicester just fired their manager. They have the same amount of points.
Up.
Everton, 17th.
17th. All we need is to not be in the bottom 3 and a successful season. Boys, that was our Contender Pretender. Let us know in the comments what you think. If we fucked over your team and you think they should have been in the conversation. I know West Ham had some lofty expectations and have certainly shit the bed. Maybe we should have mentioned them.
Yeah, what happened to West Ham?
We're all pretty damn sure it's Pretender. Let's get into the lock of the week here. And we have a double ski here because we had the midweek and the weekend games to preview. Mike, let's start with you. You are the clubhouse leader. What are your 2 locks of the week for this week?
Wow, I'm winning. I don't know why I'm doing either of these, but fuck it. Aston Villa 2, Brentford 2.
Interesting. A draw. I like the out there prediction here.
Brentford's a team I wish I was a fan of. It'd be a whole lot better than being an Everton fan.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun to watch. I don't really know how good they are, but they're super exciting. And Mbomo's a stud, and so is Wisa. And shout out Kevin Schade. And then my other game is Tottenham 1, Chelsea 3. I think Chelsea's going to do the business.
I mean, it is Tottenham. It could go this way, or it could go Tottenham randomly dominating. You never really know. But I respect the choices here. 2 interesting games here. Nick, you are in second place. This could be the week that you tie it up. 2 points from 2 games here. Who knows? Who knows what can happen? What are you going with as your 2 locks of the week?
Midweek soccer, Big Six title or Big Six featured matchup. They always get weird, but I'm still sticking with the boys. I'm going to Arsenal 3, Man U 2, and I'm sticking with the Gunners in the weekend over the Junior Gunners by a score of 3-1. 6 goals in the next 2 games will make me a happy man. But more importantly, 6 points is what we're looking for.
Yeah, a lot of goals.
Fulham.
America.
Fulham. We'll talk about them in just a second. Not really for more than 2 seconds, but we'll talk about it. I have gone for my locks of the week with Manchester City. I went 3 for Manchester City, 1 for Nottingham Forest. It's a win-win here, boys. If City lose again, I mean, the hate watch just continues. If they get back to their winning ways, which is most likely, I get a point in lock of the week. For the second game, I trust the American, the Houston native, Fabian Hertzler and Brighton to get a 2-0 win over Leicester because, I mean, it's Leicester. I'm also going to say Leicester's a very good team and could very easily win this game, just so that's on record and I didn't, go too far on one side. Leicester, very good side. I think that one's a loser. Oh, no. But we will certainly see what happens here. Big week for points in Lock of the Week. Once again, just to update here, Mike on 9 points, Nick on 7 points, and I am on 6.
You suck, dog.
Pretty tight
Fuck
race
you,
here.
9 points. God damn.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
You got the only correct.
Green
You
bean.
only have 1 through 13 weeks.
Yeah, dude.
That's
You
poor,
guys
man.
fucking suck
Come
at
on.
We
this.
picked 40 games. We have 1 correct.
I mean,
That tells you how bad it is betting on sports. Don't bet on soccer.
I think you guys.
don't
suck.
bet on the specific score line. No, you can bet
that's where
on
the
the
money
I don't know. That week 3 hit was probably pretty sweet. Probably
That was
pretty big
juicy.
payout.
That was juicy. Let me pick against
Yeah.
Southampton again.
You just have to
You
keep
can't.
going. You just have to keep going until you win. That's betting advice right there. Well, boys, let's get on over to what I said about Fulham. And it is the U.S. men's national team corner here. We start with Fulham captain Jedi Robinson. Got the captain armband for them this weekend. Some good leadership there for Jedi Robinson, a longtime member of Fulham, and certainly helps with some leadership bringing back to the U.S. Additionally, Balogun was back for Monaco and started their game. And of course, before we get too far into this, we have to talk about Christian Pulisic, who got an assist to Tijani Reinders in their game this weekend in the Serie A off of basically just winning a header that bounced right to Tijani Reinders and he slammed it in. But it's an assist nonetheless, making him the only Serie A player to record 20 goals and 15 assists in all competitions since the 2023-2024 season. So, I mean, he's putting up fucking numbers. Some numbies being put up. And he, of course, got a Champions League goal as well this week. That's just the regular for Pulisic now. Let's get into the PSV boys, because they had a hell of a midweek against... Huh?
Huzva.
PSV USA. PSV USA. The boys, Malik Tillman, scored a brace against Shakhtar Donetsk. And then Pepe, they were down 2-0. Tillman scores a brace. And then Pepe gets a winner. All of this happening in like the 85th minute on. Wild late game heroics from the two Americans in this game to get a win in the Champions League. Malik Tillman, first goal, a weird free kick that went in. Not sure if that was exactly what he was meaning to do. The second one, though, boys, holy shit, what a banger. A banger, golazo, whatever you want to call it. Malik Tillman, that was something sweet. And of course, after a game like that, I mean, he's leading the Champions League and chances created, key passes, like a bunch of different things that now come out after this, showing how amazing he's been. And with that comes a lot of the links of teams that are interested in or have put in concrete inquiries into him, including names like Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, Aston Villa, and even a one Borussia Dortmund. Boys, are any of these teams a good fit for Malik Tillman, or where would you want to see him go?
Everton,
lad.
Everton.
Get in. I think those
Is
are all
there
good.
any chance? Is there any realistic chance he could go to Everton? No, right?
He has a release
Probably
clause
I don't know why
in
he
the
would
summer
go
for
there.
30-40 million. I don't think Everton are spend
Bad.
30-40 million on him. And
Oh, they could do that.
at all theirs.
Who are the
I don't
new?
think
Are
he
the new
fits-
owners American?
Friedkin.
No, I don't believe they are.
Never mind.
I mean,
in which case, go to Milan, baby.
I mean, Milan's been a great place for Americans, and I don't know. We'll see what Malik Tillman does, but he is certainly racking up that price tag that is going to be for him here.
Where do you want him to go, Flex? You're the USA guy.
I don't know. I don't know where he's the best fit. He just needs to be playing. I think I've heard this on plenty of things. I don't think he starts at Man U. I don't think he's getting minutes a year before a World Cup on home soil. I understand it's a crowded room with like Gio also, that we might not be relying on Malik Tillman. We also can't not have him be in form. So I worry about the big moves to the gigantic clubs. I think a smaller side
I don't know, dude,
might be
because I
better.
think it's maybe a smaller side, but it is clear to me that he cannot be playing in the Dutch league anymore.
No,
When we
he's
play against
above that.
any international teams, like he does not look like the same player he is against the Farmers over there in the Netherlands. So he needs a move to a better league at the very least. If you want to prioritize playtime, then I think that's fine. But I also think it'd be good to have him be in a competitive place. I could see Spurs, where they really start. I mean, Madison, he gets injured a lot. He also has dry spells. I wouldn't hate that for him. I would hate it for me, but I wouldn't hate it for him. No, Dortmund even. I don't think it's that bad. It might just be a Geo problem. Maybe Malik does come play. So who knows?
Yep. I mean, that is kind of the question there. I don't think Dortmund's that realistic. They have a bunch of young, including Gio Reyna, of course, who got 28 minutes in the Champions League, racking up those minutes, and then 5 minutes in a tight game against Bayern. So off the bench still for Gio Reyna, but he is starting to make that way up. He's getting a few more minutes with these appearances. And I kind of had this thought today, boys. I mean, are Gio Reyna and Malik Tillman just polar opposites in terms of club and country? It seems like for Gio Reyna, he doesn't ever play for his club and always is injured or not chosen. But when he comes to the US, he is the creative force and one of the best, if not the best player on the pitch when he's on. And Malik Tillman, if you switch the words club and country in those situations, doesn't play much for the US, can't get on the field. When he does, it's in smaller minutes or just not impressing as much. And then when he goes to club, he's this world-class talent that's scoring braces in the Champions League and demolishing defenses, creating more than anyone in. What needs to happen to change for both those to be even on both sides? What do you see there that's such a disconnect for both?
I get the comparison, but also like I do think Gio does more with his time in Dortmund than Malik does with his time in the USA. To be fair, he's had higher moments, and even with these small cameos, I still think we see moments of brilliance. So I don't think it's a totally fair, comparison to make. I just think he's fallen out of favor, and sometimes that happens with managers and whatever. And it seems like he's trying to work his way back in. He still needs a move. As far as what needs to happen, I think Tracy would agree. Both these guys need to find new clubs.
Do you agree?
I think Gio's main issue is just injury availability. Last year when he finally had a stretch of availability, he was in a terrible situation at Nottingham. It just didn't make any sense. He was never going to play with a club that was trying to survive. Not a good fit whatsoever. I think Dortmund can still work for him under Sahin if he's able to be healthy, puts himself up for selection. There are minutes to be had there. There are not too many locked-in starters who have to be ahead of him. Byron Gittins and Julian Brandt for sure, but Marco Reus is gone. Some of the longer-standing players are gone. So there's a chance there, I think. For Tillman, I think Nick's right about not taking his chances at the U.S., but I also don't think he's really had the fairest of chances. I don't remember a time he's playing in the best 11 where it's really structured for him to succeed, where he has anchors behind him, where he's allowed to be creative. The 2 camps ago, I mean, it was a terrible situation for every player. Every player looked bad because the roster sucked and it was a new coach and there were just a whole lot of variables outside of their control. I think he needs another shout, another starting opportunity in one of these upcoming camps to really write the script on whether he could be an impactful player for us. And then for Gio, it's just staying healthy.
Yeah, I think Gio is staying healthy. Nick, is that what you think it is for Malik, because he hasn't really gotten the correct shot? I mean, he was with Greg Burr, and then the chance he got with Pochettino is on the road, Jamaica, and on the road, in Mexico, where everybody looked kind of bad. Is it maybe giving another shot on Pochettino?
I get where you're coming from, and if he's named in a starting 11 that's really strong, like Mike says, I'm going to be very curious to see what happens. But even when there's lesser competition around you, you at least expect some flashes if you're the
I
level
do.
of talent that some people are talking about. And he's looked bad. Like, it's not that he hasn't looked good, it's that he's looked bad in my opinion. And maybe you disagree with that opinion, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. So I think at the international level, he hasn't taken the chances he's been given in any sort of way. And Mike talks about let's structure an 11 around him. Well, in our strongest 11, he's not there, and that's just a reality in my opinion. So, hopefully, maybe if he gets another shot, he does take it. Obviously, there is talent there. We see it in some of the highest levels in Europe, but something's just not clicking internationally, and I'm not sure what it is.
I think that is the thing. It's just not clicking, but if it does click, I mean, how high does the hype on Malik Tillman go? Because if you look at just the club level, and if he was bringing that exactly on over to the US, I mean, he's being dubbed as the best player in the Eredivisie. He's the best player on PSV, who's a large squad in Europe, and he's performing extremely well in the Champions League. I think he's within the top 10 of goal contributions in all of the Champions League this season. I mean, if it clicks, if it does click, if we can figure out a way for it to click with the U.S. men's national team, how far can he push the U.S. forward with option of him, with Gio Reyna, with a Pulisic, all being those uber talented attacking creative players?
Really far. He's the best goal threat in the midfield and any of the options for the U.S. men's national team. He's like a second striker of sorts a lot of the time. He's got an eye for the goal. He can finish from outside of the box, which is a skill that most players don't have. And he connects well with a striker. I mean, if he really clicks, it could be scary hours for opposing teams. It could, I don't know. I mean, it could do a lot. Him connecting with Pulisic could be huge. It's big ifs. Maybe it could detract from other guys' numbers. That's also another possibility. But I would just see it as more goals.
Push back on that a little bit. I'd push back on both things, actually. On him being PSV's best player. There's still some players there. I mean, don't they have what's the kid's name? Bakayoko or something like that? They have Noah Lang.
I mean,
Perisic is there.
That's from like Dutch media. He is their star player. They build it around him. He's their star. Starts every game. Bakayoko is off and on. I think Bakayoko's had it. I mean, all their wingers are very rotated around. They're not.
What's the name of their captain again?
Luke De Jong.
No, never mind. Maybe not the captain. They have a midfielder who I like a lot.
Joey Veerman.
Yeah, Veerman's a really good player. I would push back on that a little bit, but mostly I'm pushing back on Trace's thing. Really far. Let's say all of them are firing. Do you start Pulisic, Gio, and Malik? I don't think they fit into the same 11.
No.
I don't think they fit into the same 11. So if he's doing really well, I mean, obviously I want him to do better, right? It does help the team, obviously. But that just means, other combinations that have proven to work are being taken away. So I mean, really far as a stretch.
Is it that bad of a starting lineup if you have Pulisic out wide left and then Gio Reyna and Malik on the center and right? Just kind of, I mean, the right is somewhat roaming into the center anyways, and you'd have just the 10, and it's really just
that's never going to happen. You can't have
as soon as defensively it won't work, and then the spaces that they occupy, I think it just get too congested. If you come into like a really competent pivot, it could get really difficult for them. I don't like that idea really.
I wouldn't be opposed to seeing. I think the only difference is what we've already somewhat talked about is that Gio Reyna in that Musa role and rotating in, or Tillman in that role, and we've already kind of talked about that. I think if you have that base that we've had of a Tessman / Tyler Adams and a Weston McKennie in the center, or even you move Musa to where McKennie is and have that base, I think we've shown that you can have that attack throughout. But once again, this is all speculative. Once he figures it out. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, that's the most of the teams we're playing is those.
No, it's not. We're playing friendlies until the World Cup, brother. That's the World Cup.
Those are the teams we're going to be playing in them. We're not playing these teams because they're going to be in nation leagues or World Cup qualifying. We're going to be playing teams of that nature where we're going to have a lot of
I
control.
don't care about those games. I'm not talking about if this is the best suited for our March window. I'm talking about 2026, baby. That's the one that matters. I don't think you can have those three starting.
I'm a proponent of trying anything, especially with a new coach and a bunch of players to choose from. But that does not seem to be the long-term option for me. And
you hear that, ladies and gents? Mike's open to pegging, so
I am
open to anything.
Good God, we need to end this podcast as soon as possible.
Hey,
right,
open to anything.
Any
couldn't tell by the mustache.
Any final thoughts on the U.S. men's national team here and what players you see going forward, and any thoughts going into the weekend? Mike, I'll start with you.
It's hard to think past Wednesday because that's a scary one, and it's Wolves. Hate to say that it's scary, but it is. Liverpool on the weekend, full week of soccer. Looking forward to it. MLS Cup. This has been the season I've watched the most MLS. Starting to grow on me a little bit. It's still fucking terrible most of the time. But there are some glimpses of good soccer, which is promising. I'm turning into an MLS fan. Nick, take us away.
There's that smell of Christmas in the air. We're getting closer. That means we're going to get more fixtures, more results, and more takes coming your way. So excited to be here with you for all of it. And as always, up the Gunners.
Up the Gunners. Up the Toffees. Boys, make sure to subscribe here so you can see all these videos as they come out. We'll have reaction to all the big storylines we talked about. The Gunners versus the Red Devils and the Blues going up against the big bad Wolves. We need a win. So everybody cross your fingers in unison for the Toffees right now. But until next time, peace.
Michigan State basketball.